I once gave a reading. This was like literally the day after I got engaged. So I'll always remember it because I was just on like a high. They were so sweet. They were like, "You just got engaged? Like, we could have rebooked." I was like, "No, this is the best time to get a reading because I'm so high."
Welcome to Soul Rising. We're your hosts, Amy and Erin. We're two everyday mediums who are passionate about taking the woo-woo out of spirituality and bringing it down to earth. So put the kettle on, grab a chair, and join us.
Hey everyone, happy week. It's episode 39.
It's episode 39.
I was like,
this is Erin. Yeah, what's today? This is Erin on a Saturday?
Yes.
Oh, I've got this says Catterday on it.
Another day.
And my t-shirt has a girl sipping wine or cheersing wine with her cat.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that shit. I haven't seen that before. That sounds like a good time to me. So this is episode 39 and the last of our Claire series. So the Claires, if you've been following along, are the psychic senses.
Yes.
And we've got an episode on each. Today we're going to be talking about Clairgustance and Clairalience. Yeah, we had to practice those before we came in, make sure we were pronouncing them correctly. So yeah, we figured we would do these two in one episode and wrap up the Claires.
Yeah,
for you.
the Claires, because they are like very similar, right?
Yeah.
Well, we've also talked about how they're all intertwined too. So
yes, all of the Claires are intertwined for sure. So Clairgustance is clear tasting. So that would be like when you feel like there's a taste in your mouth, but there's not actually a taste in your mouth. You know, it's very similar. Like if you think about, like if you thought about tasting something, like if you thought about biting into a juicy lemon, that you might
kind of know what that.
Yeah, that's an experience of like, I'm thinking of it. I'm not actually tasting it, but I feel almost like I'm experiencing that. The difference with this is that it's not something that you're purposely like thinking that you want or thinking about the taste of. It just pops in out of nowhere.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I was going to say Clairalience is all about smelling odors that don't have there's no physical odor around, but there's no evidence that somebody is smoking, but maybe you're smelling that cigar smoke of a loved one or that perfume that, your grandmother used to wear. That's Clairalience.
Yeah. And I will sometimes, I used to do this myself. I don't really anymore because I really trust this Claire of mine. But I will advise other people, like clients or friends, if they ever ask about this, that you can kind of put it to the test when it comes to Clairalience. So you might get a scent of, say, firewood, because that's the one that comes through for me most often. It is the one that comes through with my dad. So I might be able to smell burning wood when I'm sitting down here in my office, and I know that I'm not burning wood in my home. So
you're not having
I don't have a wood burning stove or fireplace one day, hopefully, but I could go from room to room to test this. I could go outside, so I could change my environment, and then if the smell remains with me, it means it's not environmental. So that's a really good way to kind of like test this for yourself if you wanted to. But it's a common one. Like when I connect to clients, sometimes I'll bring through a scent from their loved one and they'll go, yes, like I knew that because I smell that all the time. And that's exactly like I would think about my loved one like that, or that's her perfume. Came through as perfume yesterday. I did a reading last night. It was a specific perfume, which I didn't know the name of, but when I said perfume and I started to describe a little bit of it, she's like, yeah, but the person also was a perfume collector, like the loved one in spirit.
Oh, so multiple meanings with that. See, that's how my mom, Cheryl, that's how she'll come through when she's passed. Because she's a perfume lady, so she'll come through with perfumes.
Yeah, you'll know.
Yeah, you'll know.
Yeah, I experience this sometimes in my own life, like even, before I kind of started to do this work and realized that I was a medium, because we all experience these things. It's just a matter of if we kind of acknowledge them or, trust it and not just brush it off as just a weird thing. We all do experience all of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
For Erin and I, we experience them just as regular people, but we also experience them through our work.
Yes. And here's a fun fact, Amy, that I'm going to share with you, because I would never have considered myself Clairalience or Clairgustance. Gustance? Yeah, right. Until I met you. And I saw you do a live, okay, and you were touching on perfume. And I think you had brought through a perfume, you were describing it. And I was like, I don't think I've ever brought through, like, I don't think I've ever, like, really maybe, I think I've tasted maybe like a cigar kind of taste, or like a smoky taste, indicating that maybe their loved one was a smoker. But I haven't like actually touched on those clairs until like I met you, and I was like thinking about it, and I'm sure Spirit heard me, because after that I started smelling, and like actually like tasting things, like chocolate cake, or like
that's cool. Well, look, we both have our mugs today. We don't always both have our mugs, but we do today.
I was so hoping too, because I was like, oh, Amy had hers last time, but I forgot mine, or it was in the dishwasher, and I was like, I have to have mine.
I was going to use another mug that's bigger, because I'm somebody that likes a big mug. Like if I'm going to have a cup of tea, I want a big mug of tea. And this one is like kind of, I don't know, average size, but I'd like a bigger one. So normally I'm like, oh, no, it's not a big mug. But so I'm always like, I just want the biggest mug so I have enough tea to get me through the podcast. But I felt this nudge towards this one today. So there you go.
Okay, ready? Scott, this is your freeze frame.
Too funny. That's a cool story. I didn't know that. So I was like doing a live or something, and that came through.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't think I've ever brought through smell specifically.
Yeah.
And then it just, so I think maybe that's just another example of, I feel like it's definitely, we're all intuitive. We all can, maybe do this. Maybe some are a little bit more in tune than others to certain things. But I feel like maybe if you are wanting to explore a certain clair that maybe hasn't come through to you, I would say ask for it, right? Ask and see if it comes. Put it out there, because I'd never started smelling things until I saw Amy do a podcast. I was like, I don't think that's ever happened to me, and then it started coming through.
So what are some ways, like, do you have any stories you can share about how either of these, I feel like I want to separate them. So let's like talk about Clairgustance. You can see how they're so connected, because taste and smell are so like interconnected, right? But is there anything that you can think about in a recent client reading, or even like in your own life, in which Spirit gave you a taste of something?
Well, it's interesting too, because if I bring in like sometimes if I feel like this loved one had a certain alcohol maybe that they liked, or a drink, or a kind of liquor that they liked, I feel like I'm tasting that liquor, even though maybe I can't necessarily describe specifically what that liquor is. I'm not a liquor person, okay? But I feel like sometimes I can like taste that.
You brought a liquor through with Nikki's reading, didn't you?
Yeah. So I was just gonna say, with Nikki, I was like, I definitely feel like I see he's showing me something, and I feel like I can also kind of taste it sometimes. And then the other one is, and this is my favorite one because I have a sweet tooth. But anytime I bring in sweets, or I'm like, or they're showing me, their loved one is showing me maybe something that they would make, I genuinely feel like I can taste it. And I can taste all the flavors, and I can smell all the flavors. And if it's like, one time I was doing a reading, I think I was doing a live, and I could taste chocolate. Like, actually, I was like, I feel like you celebrate their birthday still. And I'm just tasting this chocolate cake. Like, it's pure chocolate. I'm not seeing anything else. And they were like, yeah, well, that was their favorite cake, was just chocolate, pure chocolate. And we do celebrate their birthday still. So, and they did, I think they shared that they had just celebrated it the other, maybe, a week ago or something, not that long ago, since when I had done the live, and that they had chocolate cake in honor of them.
I love that. Yeah. I get sweets too. Yeah, I get sweets too. As you're saying, talking, I had one example come in to my memory. So I'll share that one. It was a recent one, I'd say like in the last couple months. And I was connecting to somebody's mom that was in spirit and has been in spirit for a very long time. And the purpose of connecting to mom, other than to hear from mom, obviously, was that my client was planning a wedding and really wanted to hear from mom and just like,
Aw.
and if she had any
Yeah.
suggestions about things or any opinions about things. So there was lots of things that I brought up, you know, just that unrelated to taste or smell, but you know, like how a suggestion of the way she should wear her hair or one that she was thinking about, and like just different things like this, flowers, suggestions, that kind of stuff, like just what you would think a mom
Your mom
your
would.
mom would want to do. Yeah. But one thing she brought through was the taste of tiramisu. And she's like, tiramisu. Like, so I brought it up and I said, you know, are you having a specific cake? And I don't remember in this moment if there's a specific cake. I feel like what she told me was they were doing lots of little
Different cakes.
different things, like where you could just grab whatever you want. And I think she was like, we'll make sure like that tiramisu is there or that something like that is there. But yeah, I loved that. But she couldn't remember. I wonder if that was something that mom really liked, because she was really young when mom passed, but it was just the one example that wanted to come in this moment.
Oh my gosh.
But I think I've had tiramisu like twice in my life, so it's not something that
Really? Amy?
yeah, it's not something I go to all the time. It's been very random. I think I had it once at a restaurant and then once maybe at somebody's house, but it's not something I go to.
Not something you would go to. Yeah, because that's the other thing. The other thing.
It's not, yeah.
Not your go-to. Because the other thing that I was going to say is, what do you say to people that are like, well, maybe you're craving sweets that day, or maybe that's why you're bringing it through. You know what I mean? Why you taste it, maybe you like it, but no, because it's the same with the alcohol. I'm like, or even if I'm like, you know, yeah. And the best part of readings, because it's just like, you think it seems so random when all of these messages or thoughts and feelings come through, but it really, like, it isn't random, but that's how it feels, right? Because we're not thinking about it, right? And then this is a question actually that has come up, and I feel like maybe we've talked about it just a little bit, and maybe I don't know why I'm bringing it up now, but it's coming to mind. So maybe there's a reason. But what do you say to people? Because I think there are people there that feel like, well, you know, if we're tapping into energy, and energy is energy, what's not to say that we're tapping into, you know, we're just reading this person's energy. Like, we're just, you know, we can reading her mind. Yeah, the living person. And it's an interesting question, right? And I've thought about it. Oh my gosh, now I'm blanking on it. But I thought about it in this way that, you know, if that person isn't thinking about it, right? Or let's say, for example, it is this chocolate cake, okay? Or tiramisu, let's just say, for example, right? And the client can't remember, or like, oh, I don't know if that was one of their favorites, and have to go back. Yeah, they're not thinking about it, right? So I would say, like, maybe to that, like, in the moment, we're not, that, you know, that kind of shows we're not necessarily, you know, reading somebody's mind, especially if they're not thinking about it, right?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And actually, it's funny you brought it up, because it's something that I have recently thought about. Because one day I was down here and I was watching like YouTube clips of Tyler Henry's TV show, not the Netflix special, but like the one before that. Hollywood Medium, I think it's called. And I was reading some of the comments, because usually I stay away from the comment section because it gets me like riled up sometimes, but sometimes I just like to be entertained, or I'm looking for a little bit of like, oh,
Yeah.
And this one person said that they were a medium and that they believed that mediums like Tyler are not actually picking up on spirit, they're mind reading, because they believe that like mental mediums like you and I are really just picking up on like what the person remembers about the spirit, what they know about the spirit, what they're hoping to come through about the spirit. Because this person, I think it was like a YouTube clip of Tyler on Larry King Live.
Right.
And
Okay.
Larry
Okay.
was
Yeah.
kind of like going at him, like, a little bit of, it wasn't rude, but healthy skepticism. And
Yeah.
Tyler was kind of saying like, like, no, I don't see kind of evil things. I don't really see ghosts hanging around. Like there's no real reason for them to be like earthbound and trapped and things like that. Right. And this person in the comments were like, well, then you're not really a medium because they're all around us. I was like, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to take my ego out. I'm going to put it on a shelf and I'm going to think about this from another perspective. Is that possible? I don't think so. And it's for examples like you just said, which, sometimes you can bring through something that that person isn't even totally aware of in the moment. They're not thinking about it. They don't have even the awareness of it. It comes later after they talk to somebody else and they're like, so I saw you and she brought this up. Does this mean anything to you? And they're like, oh my God, yes. So I don't think it's a matter of reading somebody's mind. I really, truly believe that we're connecting to spirit for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think, in some ways, because this is all, I think how spirit communicates is all telepathic.
Yes.
It's all telepathic. And I do believe that that spirit is all around. I feel like they are all around us.
Yeah.
But does that mean they're stuck? No.
I think that's just somebody's perspective. That if they're here,
it's just their
stuck.
perspective.
But for me, I think that spirit can be here, there, and everywhere. So just because they're with us when we're doing a reading doesn't mean they're also not in spirit, like wherever that is on the other side, right? Like, I don't think it has to be that separate.
Yeah. And I think that's the same too. I think the same could be said for like, possibly maybe future events, or things that you're bringing in that haven't come to fruition yet. And I'll tell you that, like, I do get some people that are like, well, I'm a little bit, and I had one person, because I was doing card readings at an event, and I had one person, very, she wasn't rude about it, but she just very matter-of-factly said, listen, I don't want to do that, because I feel like if you tell me something that in the future, it's actually going to happen because I'm going to be thinking about it. And so I'm going to be willing it to happen, which I think is a common thing and I think that kind of comes up. And I feel like there's two sides to that, because I feel like this has gotten less about the clairs, but it's okay. I feel like there's two sides to that, in that, yes, I feel like energy is energy. And I feel like if you put the energy out there, such as manifestation, and you're wanting something so badly to happen, and you put in that effort and you're working towards that thing, right? And it happens. I do believe in that, but I also will say that I think there's this side to it that, you're not even really thinking about it, right? And then it takes something, maybe something clicks or somebody says something to you, because I've had other people who have, gotten readings for me, and they said, really, I honestly forgot about your reading. Mm-hmm. I totally forgot about what you said. And then something clicked in me, and I went back to listen to it. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, that makes sense, because you literally just said this was going to happen, and it did happen.
Yes.
Right. So I don't think it's necessarily that you're thinking about it and you're willing it to happen, or you're worried because I'm going to say something and it's going to happen that way. But I don't feel like that at all, really. I still feel like there's free will. I still feel like you are totally capable of making decisions that can steer you in different directions. If your goal is what we're bringing through, then amazing. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I agree. Because there's, I think with manifestation, I think that a big piece of that is intention. Yeah. Like that's the key, right? So if somebody brings something in and you're like, well, now that I know that I'm going to like maybe subconsciously will it. I don't think so. I think that if you intentionally are like, this is what I want, and I'm putting steps, like action steps towards it. Yeah. I think you could attract it to you, because your intention is.
Your intention is that.
So I think intention is kind of the difference.
It's key. Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. Yeah, so taste is an interesting one. I'm trying to think if I've had any other recent taste experiences. I know that I've definitely tasted alcohol before. A common one is cigars, cigarette smoke. I've connected with marijuana as well. It's a very distinctive smell. Connected to a few times, or even taste. I should say. I'm trying to think if there's any other examples with taste. It's not something that I would say smell comes in more than taste for me in readings. Taste is probably the least one that I experienced of all of the ones we've gone over. Yeah.
I would say I think I experience taste maybe more so than smell.
And me, I think it's more smell. Yeah. That's
cool.
cool. Yeah. I wonder if there's any like corresponding, like if you ever like look up like signs you may be, say, clairvoyant, and then things come in. I wrote a blog about it actually, and some things that come in, like if you're somebody that's very visual learner, somebody that appreciates beautiful things, anything to do with seeing and vision. So I wonder, I didn't Google anything like signs that you might be Clairgustance or Clairalience, but I wonder if we can kind of like think about that and come up with anything. Like what would you associate with taste? Like if your actual physical taste could, like maybe somebody that is somebody that really, really loves food. I mean, I know that we all love food, but like a self-identified like foodie, or somebody that is a chef, or somebody that bakes for a living, or somebody that is like super, super into food and taste and textures and all those things. Maybe spirit would use their Clairgustance often because they also have all that frame of reference.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, they've got that frame of reference where they're like, okay, I'm going to give this person like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something that I don't know, like escargot, I don't know, or like foie gras or whatever that is, right? Like if somebody brought that to me and I was tasting it, I wouldn't know that is that. So I wouldn't know the word to give the person to say, hey.
Well, it's the perfect example is the live reading that we did with our friend Melissa.
Yeah.
Friend of the podcast, Melissa. And, which I was like picking up on her brother with the glasses, right?
Yes.
And then because I wasn't getting the reference.
The movie reference.
Yeah. The movie reference, he was like, hold up a second, Erin.
He went to me.
I'm gonna let and then he went to you. Yeah. Because you had that frame of reference. Yeah.
Because I knew the movie. Yeah. And that came up it's so funny because I was reminded of Melissa's reading last night in the reading that I did with the person that brought through the perfume, because there was another loved one that came through in that reading last night, and they brought through the movie Coyote Ugly. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
Okay. So they brought through Coyote Ugly to describe her character, to describe, she was like, I was a wild woman, right? And she showed me like women dancing on a bar, like in that movie. And I was like, does that make sense to you? And the client was like, heck yes, it does. And not only that, there's like a connection to like working in a bar and like all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, got it. But if I had never seen the movie Coyote Ugly, that would make like zero sense to me. Maybe, right? I'd be like, Coyote Ugly, like what's that?
But that's how they get, it's so cool. I love it because I just feel like it's just how they get you to that thing, right? It's like it doesn't, because, and this is another way that they do it, because I once gave a reading. This was like literally the day after I got engaged, so I'll always remember it because I was just on like a high. They were so sweet. They were like, you just got engaged, like we could have pre-booked. I was like, no, this is the best time to get a reading because I'm so high. And it was a great reading, and I brought through a very, very specific name. Okay, it's not a name you hear often, and I don't want to give too much away. I think it's fine, but it was a very distinctive name, and because I know a person with that name,
right?
Okay, and so they showed me his image, and I was like, do you know, I said his name, and they were like, oh my God, that's yes. And it ended up being I think it was their animal's name who passed away.
Oh, but spirit showed your friend.
And spirit showed me, with a friend to get me to that name.
That happened recently reading for me too, because I did a reading and it went really, really well. And it was probably one of the best in my recent memory, in the sense that literally everything I said was like
it was like
every single one. Yeah, every single one. And which I loved too, because it was her first reading, so it felt like really special. And at the end, as we were both to say goodbye, I said, hold up. I said, I don't know why, but I see I'm being shown my first ever pet that I've ever had. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and suggest that perhaps you had a similar pet in your life. So I said, did you ever have a guinea pig, and is it in spirit now? Because spirit was showing me my first pet ever was a guinea pig. Its name was Polka Dot, even though it didn't have polka dot. And I saw it, like my my polka dot. And I was like, so you must have a guinea pig. And she's like, yes, I do. Oh my God, I can't believe that. That was like the only spirit pet that she had in spirit. Like it was the only one that had passed. So she was like, oh. But yeah, like it was just interesting because they showed me my specific.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And they're probably not even, again, thinking about that in the moment.
Like, I haven't thought about him in a long time, you know, and it's like random. And it's not something you're expecting to come through in a reading either. Like, hey, remember that guinea pig when I was 10? And I'm like 30 now, you know? Like
I'd really like the guinea pig that I had when I was 10 to come through for a reading.
He's not in her mind on a regular basis, right? So it just is kind of...
No, I love that. No, I can't think of, you know, really anything specifically that's come up other than just like, I think my favorite one, and maybe this is why I feel like I get it more, maybe is the taste one, is Clairgustance, right? And I love it when it comes through because it's usually like, you know, somebody's grandmother or grandfather, or, you know, I'm smelling all of these different spices and I feel like I can taste their food, and I don't know what it's called, but I definitely feel this is a pastry dish and it's delicious and it's something like, you know, maybe they used to make. I love when that stuff comes through and I can taste.
I get food come through often, but it's more often than not I'm smelling it. It's just interesting. Like I will be like, I can smell like apples, but not like apple pie, like as if when you like first bite into an apple and that smell, that fresh crisp, and I'm like that, right? And like things like that come through. So more often it's smell for me. It's just
it's smell for you.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. Actually, this is a very, very quick story because my mom was asking me, like, you know, this was before my brother had his now girlfriend, and she was just like, she's gonna hate that I'm telling this story, but she was like, do you get anything on maybe a future partner or future, like, you know, girlfriend for your brother? And it's funny because I was like, I just keep seeing food. I was like, I'm just tasting a lot of food. I don't know if this person is a chef or what, but I'm seeing a lot of food. And it was really funny because the person that, I think this was maybe a year later or something like that. Okay. And my brother has a girlfriend a year later, and her whole Instagram page is just food.
Just all food.
Pictures of food. All food.
Does she work with food, or does she just loves food?
She's just a foodie.
Yeah. That's
cool. So I was like, that's really cool. I totally forgot about that. My mom reminded me of it, I think. Yeah.
So I wonder if she was to ever experience like some psychic senses, maybe ask her, like, just because she's such a foodie, ask her if she ever kind of just gets a taste, but it's like I'm not eating it. You know what I mean? Like, just, yeah, that'd be interesting to me, because it would just make sense as somebody that would have like
you know, a whole background, or like,
or like a well, I don't know what the word, I'm thinking of a palate, right? But like a well, you like has a lot of different taste in their taste library. They're experimental, or they try to.
Okay, so maybe what this is telling me is that I need to get more perfumes, and Amy, you need to experiment with more spices. Maybe.
I do get sweets often, so I think that makes sense because I also have a sweet tooth, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I love when I get sweets.
Yeah, because you're like, I don't even have to go like make something.
Do you ever get cravings after readings, after bringing in like maybe a chocolate cake or something that somebody?
It doesn't. Honestly, taste doesn't come in enough for me, so I can't.
No, not nothing.
I like the only thing that I can think of. I have brought through like wedding cake before, and it was a specific. Again, the spirit used my own memories, because I brought through. I was getting the taste of lemon, but it wasn't like lemon meringue pie. It was like lemon cake, but almost like a pound cake. It was like a heavier cake.
Yeah,
but it was a lemon, and I said, I don't know why, because I said Spirit's showing me like my wedding cake, because we had a lemon wedding cake, because Scott and I love lemon more than anything else. And I said, does that make sense for you? Like, do you love lemon cake? Or she goes, well, we had a wedding cake that was lemon too. And I was like, right. So yeah. If that comes in, I'll crave it, because I love everything lemon flavored. So I love lemon flavored stuff. Yeah.
Noted.
Yeah.
For when we meet and we go out for dessert.
Yeah, I love lemon stuff. So, yeah, that comes in once in a while. But honestly, more often it is the smelling for me. So let's talk a little bit about clairalience.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of people experience this too. At least when it comes to my clients, right? Like if I bring through something, this is what I'm smelling when they come in. But, oh my God, I smell that all the time. I knew it. I knew it was them. So people are experiencing it, obviously. I think it might be human nature to go, I'm just thinking about that. So my brain is making me smell it, but I'm not really smelling it.
Yeah.
Maybe. But at the same time, I think sometimes it can happen out of the blue when you're not thinking of your loved one. It's not like you're willing the smell.
Yeah, I feel like it most often happens when you're not thinking about it or not expecting it, right?
Yes.
That's when all this stuff. Today I said to the ghost in my kitchen, I was like, "Hey, I need a story. You guys, you have to come back."
The podcast.
I was like, "God, you've been a bit quiet. I need something else to share."
And was it crickets? Nothing, right? Like it's like I'll come like to you when you're not expecting
I'll
it.
come over. Yeah, he was like, "Girl, I've given you plenty. You can sit. Yeah, you sit with it."
Right, so I already shared like the most common smell for me. So like I think I've shared before that I would say 80% of my clientele are like people that just randomly find me and book a mediumship reading have also lost their fathers. And I discovered that in the reading. So
yeah.
I don't like, they don't tell me beforehand, and then we will sit and I've got a dad here. This makes sense. Like, yeah. And so it just turns, I've just kind of been keeping a mental tally in my brain. And I'm like, yeah, most of these people have lost dads too. And it's really interesting because I'll find sometimes the messages will really hit me and I'll feel like, okay, my dad's giving me this message too. Right. Like in the moment, which is a beautiful thing. No, I was going to relate that to smelling. So like I already said that for me, whenever I connect to another medium or somebody's doing a reading for me, they always bring in the smell of burning wood. Like every single time. Just it's as common as the dog is. So long-time listeners will know about the dog. And we'll give a little bit of update with that too.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So I often get the smell of fire or burning wood in readings. Not always just with other dads, but just I think that is the most common psychic smell I smell in general. And I don't know if it's because spirit knows that I'm super familiar with it, or if even spirit kind of goes, yeah, we're going to give her all of the of those people like that have people that bring that smell through. So I don't know what it is, but it just seems like the most common smell that comes through for me, and always makes sense for the person too. It's not ever like a stretch, like if somebody brought through like for you like chocolate cake, like that might not be specific enough. Like I don't know how often you eat chocolate cake, right? It might be too general. But if it's something that's like really makes sense, like very, very, very specific, yeah. Or like perfume, like with your mom. Yeah, not everybody wears perfume.
No, it's true. No, it's true. It's funny because sometimes I can't help but laugh because like, and I think my the sitter, the person I'm giving a reading to, because I'll be smelling something or something will come through all of a sudden. I'm like, did they wear like a very pungent perfume or cologne? Was it just sort of like in your face? Yeah, and it's not necessarily maybe that I'm really clearly smelling it, but what is coming through is that it's very pungent and it like hits the nostril. Yeah, very strong. Yeah.
So that is almost like a combination of clairalience mixed with claircognizance, like a knowing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's all like a knowing, or like the chocolate cake, or there's like a familiar,
you knowing that it's chocolate cake. Whereas I think that fits into what we said. Like if you don't have that frame of reference, like you don't know what that movie is, or you don't know what that tastes like, that might not be the thing that comes through for you in a reading. Then if your medium doesn't know what it is, maybe sometimes.
Yeah, maybe. It's funny because sometimes I feel like too, like I bring in random things and it hasn't, so it's like, I don't know what this has anything to do with it, but I'll be like, I think one example was like, your grandmother keeps showing me an apple. Apples, 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 apples. I can't. And I think the story was, well, she actually did believe that an apple a day would keep the doctor away. Like she would say that all the time. And so there's stuff like that. I mean, sometimes I feel like too, going back to like claircognizance, I'm trying to remember, to being tied with clairsentience or
any of the other
any of the others, is because like sometimes when I see a cake, for me that's very symbolic too of like a birthday,
yes,
you know, or a birthday happened. So I feel like there's always different. It just feels like it's never
super.
There's always multiple layers to it.
I think I think we've come to realize that with each of the clairs we've done, is how much they are so interwoven. Because even like you might see the chocolate cake clairvoyantly, but you're also tasting it clairgustance, right? So it's a combination of both. It's not like you're just tasting it without the vision. That might happen sometimes, but you probably will get both more often than not.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So is there like a common smell? Like if you did like a tally as well of the most common smell that comes through for you, is there one, or is there no common thread?
I don't think so. The big common thread with all of my readings and is that a lot of the people that I get, it's their first reading.
Okay.
That's like the common.
I would say it's pretty common in mine too. Yeah.
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 But I don't know. Is that with all mediums? Is that a common thread with everybody? We got to take a poll. Other mediums, if you're listening, let us know. Drop us a line.
Yeah. I mean, it's not to say that I don't get people that have had readings before. I'm just thinking to like a group reading I did on the weekend. It was like a girls' night, and there was 5 women. I think 2 of the 5 had had readings before, and 3 had never had an experience like that. So I don't know. I just feel like if it's probably like 65, 45. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Or no, sorry, 35. It would be 65, 35, right? No.
I don't.
Math. We can't do math. We're tired right now. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other ways in which smell comes through, but I think a really good tip is just if you get a whiff of something that doesn't make sense for your environment, it's okay to test it. It's okay to go from room to room. It's okay to go outside if you like need that extra validation for yourself. I was doing that for a long time. I was like, I just want to test this. I just want to make sure. That's okay to do. And I think that will build your confidence too, because you'll be like, yeah, there's literally nothing around here of burning wood. So it's got to be.
The other thing too is I feel like it's very quick when those scents come in, like those, because sometimes it's not always like an inner feeling. I feel like sometimes it is like I'm actually smelling cigar smell, or I'm actually smelling my grandma's perfume, and I feel like those things come in really quickly. Really quickly. Like even I think, you know, Alex has shared some experiences where I literally just feel like I smell my grandfather.
Yeah.
Like I just very quickly just pass it. Yeah.
I've had that too with my grandfather for years. Like he's been gone now for how many years now? 14 years. There was a smell in their room. It wasn't musty. Like it's not musty, but it's like I don't know what it is. You know how different people's houses and just has a different smell. Like it's just them. Like the smell of that reminds me of my grandparents' house. And I don't know what it is, but it specifically in their room though, there was a certain smell. And I get a whiff of that randomly every so often. And it makes no sense for my home. And like, because it's a funny thing with smell too, because you don't know that your home has a smell until you maybe go away for vacation and come back and like, so this is what my house smells like to other people, right? There's a
If I ever come back, you know, I'm gonna come back for Alex as a cat's litter box, because that's kind of what our home smells like.
So because does he not change it very often or at all? Is that why? Are you the cat litter box changer?
I'm the cat litter box changer. Okay, but I do change it. I change his litter box. Okay, you guys, don't at me. I do it. I do. But my point apartment, and he goes, "It smells like your old apartment, Erin." And I was like, "What's that?" He goes, "Litter box."
Oh my God. Did you have a little small apartment? Maybe.
I had a really small apartment, and because here it's, you know, it's a bigger space, okay, but it's like, where are we going to put his? We only have so many places to put Ted's litter box, so it's sort of in our living room / dining room. It's in our living space, but I change it. Okay, you guys, I changed.
Oh, I believe you. I just found it funny that you said that's so small. It's because you have this like inner joke about it. Yeah.
Oh, I would for sure come back with litter box smell for Alex.
And Ted will for sure tag team that. You know he will.
And Ted, yeah, he'll help. He'll help 1000% because we like to poke the bear with Alex.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because that's something that Scott says often. He goes, "Don't poke the bear," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna poke the bear. I'm gonna poke the bear."
Oh, I like to poke the bear.
It's funny though, because you and I have talked, and all four of us, like us and our spouses, are Earth's, like wrong Earth signs, right? So it's like,
yeah, Taurus. Scott's Capricorn.
So we've got 3 Capricorns and a Taurus, and Scott's moon and rising are Taurus, right? So it's like, it's very stubborn energy.
Very Earth. Yeah, I gotta do Alex's chart. Alex, I'm doing your chart.
Yeah, find out what his moon and rising is. I'd love to know, because you're all Capricorn.
I'm Capricorn. I think I have. What is my love?
We have the same Aquarius. We have a Venus in Aquarius. You and I have the same.
Venus is in Aquarius. Thank you.
But yeah, your big 3 is Capricorn, 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 which is all Earth. Scott is Capricorn, Taurus, Taurus, which is all Earth. I am Capricorn, Libra, Virgo. So I've got 2 Earth and 1 air. I guess, unless Alex has something other than Earth in his. If Alex is all Earth, like that would be crazy.
That would be really funny.
You know what?
I would laugh if Alex has more of like what you have, more of a variety, because I feel like that's why we're friends.
You think? Well, it's funny because if I look at my thing, I've got 1 fire and 1 water, and then like just a handful of air, and then everything else is Earth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting chart.
It's a good combo.
Yeah, it's interesting. Somebody it was Emily, our friend Emily Thornton, who has been on the podcast before. She is solar sister Tara.
We gotta have her back.
Yeah, we have to have her back. She messaged me the other day. We were talking about scammer accounts, which we all love to hate. And,
oh yeah, because Amy, you had a doozy of a one.
Yes, it's still there. It's still there. Listeners,
she's still there.
It's still there, listeners. So listeners, if you ever get messaged by what you think is me, just know it's not me, because I will never message you and ask you if you want a reading. So even if it looks like me, it's definitely not me.
You know what's really funny is the scammer friend requested my personal account, but did not request or did not follow my soul work account.
Ah.
And I was like, this person
knows. You know what's funny though is I was like, damn, I can't go and look at the account because they blocked my account like as soon as they created it so that I wouldn't be able to go in. And then I was like, I wonder if they have friend requested my personal Instagram. They did. So I was able to go in there. I was like, in the chat, I was like, you need to go away. Like, we all know that you're fake.
But did they reply?
No, but God love Emily, because when I went in there to look on every single post, like of content that they had stolen, like every single post, she wrote, "This is a fake account, scammer, fake account, scam," on every single one. I was like, I love you, Emily.
Good job, Emily. I didn't even think to do that. Good.
She said, I gave them hell in the chat. I'm like, good. But I've had people like,
I'm gonna message them. I was so close messaging them.
Oh my God. I'm feeling okay now. So it started, I guess, on Saturday night. Like, I got out of my group reading. I did that group reading with those 5 ladies. I was on super spirit high. I come upstairs. I pick up my phone. I've got like 50 messages. I'm like, what is going on? And every single one was, is this you? Is this you? And I'm like, oh my God. So I made some posts about it, like, just please beware, it's not me. And then I would say since Saturday night to now, today's Tuesday night, I've received over 150 messages. So my mood has been like this in the last couple days, because I'm like, I can't escape it. Like, I love everybody for wanting to make sure, but just no, it's not me if somebody's messaging you. It really isn't. And I already know people that have lost money. I know a few people that have lost money. So it really upsets me. And I was talking to another medium the other day about scammer accounts, and because she has a greater number of followers, and therefore I feel like they target people that have a lot of followers. And she said, I've got 3 going around right now of her. And I said, you know what I think the thing that really bugs me about it is, it's not that they're taking my content. I don't care. I do care that they're harassing people. But the thing that really gets me about the harassment, or about, the way that they conduct themselves, reaching out and like trying to sell readings, it perpetuates a stereotype that people like you and I have been trying to break.
Yeah.
And it just feels like a kick in the gut when people fall for it, especially people that you hoped would know you to not do that. Right. So it just feels like a gut. I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
Yeah, because we try so hard to break that stereotype. So that's what has been upsetting me about it more so than anything else. I'm just like, so many people are like, I guess it's a backhanded compliment. I'm like, I guess. Like, I know, I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, it just feels like it makes us have more work to do. But we're up for the challenge. We keep showing up. That's the thing. Nobody can duplicate anybody's energy.
Well, I mean, there's scammers online and there's scammers.
Something, I was reading a comment somebody posted somewhere, and they're like, there's been scammers since the beginning of time. They will always be there. They'll never go away. But you just have to stay yourself and shine through the darkness. People will be able to see through it. But I've got some really, really smart followers, because I had a few people reach out to me on my like personal Facebook. And they're like, hey, can you text me? And then I will text them, and they'll say, okay, I just wanted to make sure it's you, because this person's got me in the chat and they're asking for all this stuff and all this information. And I asked that, and it was the scammer they were talking to. And I asked the scammer to text me. I like didn't give them the number, but she said, hey, you know me, like give me a call or text me. And then the scammer will like go offline. So then they were like, Amy, you text me so I know for sure that wasn't you. And I'm like, it's definitely not me, but thank you for being so smart. Just a good rule of thumb is that if somebody is DMing you, even if you talk to them, if they ask you for anything, it's a no.
Yeah. Yeah, because even I remember I messaged you that one day. I was like, I gave this girl a reading once, and she's like asking me these weird questions. Remember? And I was like, and you were like,
Yeah, I've had that too. So if anybody reaches out to you in the DMs, and I mean, this is a really good example. I made a post yesterday about intuition, and this is let's use this as a lesson in trusting our intuition. Because every single person that got that message, I don't know every single person, but for the most part, at least 150 of you who messaged me were like, this doesn't seem right. Is this you? And like, your intuition told you already. It's not, right? Like, that's why you're messaging it. No. So just trust that. Yeah, it's never been more important to trust it.
Yeah.
In all walks of life. Because if it's not an online scammer, it's a scammer somewhere else doing something. We have to be really savvy. Yeah.
Really mindful.
Yeah. But it's okay. Like I'm fine. I'm good with it. I did have a couple of days where I was like feeling very anxious and I wasn't sleeping very well. And then I had a lovely listener of the podcast reach out to me on my Instagram and kind of gave me some tough love. And she was like, Amy, I know that you're a good person and you are upset because you don't want to see your followers scammed, but this is not your responsibility. You can let it down. It's not your responsibility what anybody does.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know.
And I get it, because I would feel the same way. I would be like, oh my God, what should I would probably feel like, should I pay you back? Like,
but it's really not. It's not.
It's out of our control, right? It's not something that we went and did or anything like that. It's
just unfortunate.
And they're right.
It really sucks. But just a rule of thumb, if anybody ever, whether it's Erin and I, and it looks like Erin and I because we're using all our posts, If we're cold messaging, no.
We will never do that.
So just don't be afraid to say nope.
Yeah.
And report, please, because that's the only way they're gonna go away. How do you feel? Oh, I want to give a dog update. Long-time listeners will know that my dad, every time he comes through in a reading for me, and even in like acquaintances' dreams, he's come through this way. It's funny, my dad is getting it's not unrelated to this, it's just related to my dad. One of the people that I read for last night, she messaged me like a week or two ago, and she's like, Amy, I keep seeing this image in my mind, and every time I've been seeing it for 2 weeks, and every time I see it, I have this overwhelming urge that it's for you and I need to reach out to you. And she's like, and then I put it off, but like I just need to tell you. And so she told, first of all, it was the image of fire, okay? But the message around it was about kind of like when you have a fire that's kind of starting to die out, and then it starts to come back, and I keep seeing this over and over and over again. And I'm trying to analyze it. I'm trying to figure out what it means. And like, I don't know. I just know that it's like, whatever this is won't leave me alone. I have to tell you. So she told me, and as soon as she told me, she was like, oh my God, it's like an energetic release. And I said, that was my dad harassing you, I think. I felt it was my dad. That's my dad poking, like, get this message through to Amy about, and I feel maybe it was a heads up about how I kind of felt the last little bit. I feel in August anyways. Erin and I were talking about this. I always feel very kind of heavy, thick, swampy, heavy energy. I don't know why. I always do in August.
Yeah, I mean it's muggy here in Ontario, but honestly, that's how I felt this whole month.
Yes, it's unrelated. It like partly weather, but like there's just something to it. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I come alive in the fall and the winter, and that's just me. I'm fully embodying me in the fall and the winter. Right? And then there's other people who are like, I don't get that. I hate winter. I love summer. And I'm like, I don't know. But it's funny because every person I've met that like would identify as being kind of like witchy loves the fall and the winter, and not just because of Halloween and things like that, like just literally loves the fall and the winter, or loves like a really good like dark stormy sky. And I'm like, it's got to be like a witchy intuitive kind of thing.
It's funny because I feel August, if I could, I would just have it off. Like August feels like it's my
literally said that to Scott. I said, I think next, I don't know if I said this to Scott or if I said it to a friend of mine, but I literally said it yesterday. I think moving forward, next August is going to be a month off. Because I never feel like myself in August. And usually we would like to distract ourselves from that, but like go on a family vacation or something. We've always done that in August, but we haven't been doing that the last couple of years because of lockdowns and stuff. And then this year my husband's in school, so we just haven't done it. And I think that's the thing of like why I'm also struggling with August so much. But unrelated, so dog story.
Yes, dog.
Dad's been bringing through dogs for a dog, I should say, a specific dog for years. And the other day, my mom sent me this Facebook post, and it was somebody who was, they had a pet, a dog, and they can no longer keep them for whatever reason, circumstances, and they want to find a loving home for the dog. And it is quite a large dog. I don't know what breed it is, but it looks like a big guy. He's a big guy, and he had that like grayish black fur. He looked like he had wiry fur, which is exactly what my dad has told me that my dog will kind of be like. And so my mom sent, and I don't even know if my mom knows all those details. Like she just knows dad and dog. So she sends me this picture, and she said, I don't know why, but every time I see this pop up on my Facebook feed, I think here to myself, it feels like it's not me thinking and hearing, right? Send to Amy, this is Amy's dog. So she sent it to me, and the first thing I noticed is, so it says, still looking for a home for, it has the dog's name, and then it says, he will be 2 on September 6th. And I said, Mom, did you see the date there? And she's like, no, what are you talking about? She went back to open it up to look, and she's like, oh my God. September 6th is my dad's birthday. So Absolutely a sign.
Doesn't get much more clear.
Absolutely a hello. I totally wish I could have that dog. It's funny, like that's a male dog, and I always I feel like it's gonna be a male dog that comes to us. But yeah, he's back in Nova Scotia. And we're not ready for him yet either, even if we did live in the same province. But I thought that was just amazing that happened. And I'm like, see, Mom? See? That's how it happens. Right? And I want to share another story with her really quickly. I hope she won't mind that I'm sharing this. I didn't share it on my social media. She told me, I think it was the day before that, so it might have been like last Friday or Saturday. She said, I decided today to have a conversation with Dad. So I was like having a conversation. I was talking to him, and she said, then I think she was like in bed or something talking to him. And then she's like, I got up for the day. I went to make my tea. I like let the cat out, and there's a blue jay feather on my doorstep. And blue jays are the way that my dad comes through to my mom. Yeah. And she goes, he heard me. And I was like, yep, he sure did. I know. I was like, she literally was like, I talked to him. And it was there. There it was.
Yep. There it is. Your dad's very prompt. I gotta tell you, he's very on his game.
He's quick.
He's very fast.
And I know that takes a lot from spirit to leave us things. It's a big like manifestation of energy. So I know he tries really, really, really hard. And I loved it though, because I said, see, Mom, because she always goes, I don't know if he comes to me, he always comes to you. And I'm like, no, I'm just the medium, so I get it right away. That's the only reason. I'm just connecting it. He's coming to you very likely more often than he's coming to me. You're his wife, right? Like, so I loved that validation for her. Like, I asked, and it was like right there. Yeah.
And then it was
You're
there.
welcome.
Thank you for sharing that. I love that.
So many amazing messages like that lately.
Yeah.
So many amazing. It's usually, and sometimes like in a reading, it's the most random thing that ends up being the most. It's the most random thing.
Always.
Yeah. I'm thinking about a reading I did on Friday night. It was like, I felt like a lot of stuff came through. I could feel kind of like she was like, I think there's something here, but I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% like 100% sure, right? I could feel, I think we can feel that from people sometimes, right? Where, they're like waiting for whatever that thing is to drop in. So they're like, okay, yeah, definitely. Right. So we're like about to say goodbye.
Like, okay.
And then, I'm like bringing through like a specific, I feel like a spirit sign. And I said, like, I brought through something about a Christmas tree. I said, I see a Christmas tree with something about an ornament that you have that's like connected to grandmother. And she's like, nope. I don't think so. And she's like, I love Christmas. And she's like, but no, I don't have an ornament. And then I was about to drop it. And then her grandmother showed me again this red cardinal. And it had like, those ornaments you can get that almost have like a little metal clothespin on it that can be clip on the tree. I said, okay. I said, she's adamant that there's an ornament on the tree. And this is what it is. I said, it is a red cardinal. And it has a little metal like clothespin. And she went, oh my God, you're joking. And I was like, no, like that's like where does that come from, right? And that's also an example of like, she's not thinking about that. She wasn't thinking about that. In fact, she never even connected it to her grandmother. It wasn't like she bought it in memory of her grandmother, but she didn't know why she picked it. Like she said, I was drawn to it like a magnet. I don't know why. It's not like I thought it was like, it's not like I love cardinals. Like, it's not like I was associating with anything. I was just like, I need to have that. And she's like, I didn't know why I needed to have it. And I said, obviously, like grandma was like, get the cardinal, right? Like but that was that thing for that woman. And it came in the last like 2 minutes of the reading.
Wow.
And I love that. I think spirit does that sometimes because they're like, she's kind of on the fence. Like things have come in and she's definitely like, yeah, there's something there for me. But it's like, I got to give you that one thing. And then everything else is like, all right. Yeah, good.
Yeah. But I have to share really quickly because I kind of was like, I don't know if you saw me, but I was like, oh my God, I kind of like rolled my eyes because the red cardinal thing, because when you were telling your story about your mom, I was like, oh, that reminds me of a story with my grandfather. And my mom and I associate red cardinals specifically with my grandfather. And so your story made me think of the time I asked my grandfather to, I was like, I just need to know you're here. Is everything good? Are we good? And like, probably like maybe 5 seconds later, 2 red cardinals flew by.
Yeah.
And that's timing and synchronicity. And And I was thinking about that, and you just told a story about a red cardinal.
Do you remember cardinals with Nikki too? I don't know if that came up in her reading, but she messaged me all the time, and she's like, I think it was right like after the reading or the next day, and she's like,
red cardinal,
they're back, and she's like, Clarence is here.
Yeah,
they're here. Yesterday, this is a thing too, a spirit sign as well, and the timing is like impeccable. So yesterday I was having kind of like a low day. Like I said, I've just felt low the last week, and I just like, meh. I'm like hanging clothes on the clothesline, and my mind is kind of racing and thinking about just feeling anxious about stuff. This not mental health. My mental health, has been affected, but this whole scammer thing, and just feeling like overwhelmed with messages. And I'm just like, and so I go outside and hanging laundry, thinking about that. And there's this monarch butterfly, which is a very strong spirit sign and has been for over 15 years for me, is literally fluttering all around my head, like just over and over. And I'm like, okay, and I was like, thank you. Like, I know I see you, because the butterfly's not going to be like, because it was persistent.
Yeah.
It was over and over and over again.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
And then today, funny enough, when I got in the car to go out to run errands, you guys know my bee story. You know that I used to be really afraid of bees. I'm like, I get in the car, I'm waiting for Scott to get in the car, so I have the car doors open to like let the breeze in, and this big old bumblebee like literally sits on this part of my arm, and I'm just like, hi. Like I wanted to freak, and then I was like, hi, you can go now, bye. And like it literally flew away. I was like, thanks for stopping by. But I don't know, like I don't think it's that typical for for a bumblebee to sit on you. Yeah, it wasn't like it accidentally landed on me and then was like, oh crap, right? Like it was a good, I'd say 7-8 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, bye. And then it left. But it was just so funny. The timing of it was funny. We do want to let you know that next week we will have a guest. Her other friend Emily. So we have another Emily joining us. Erin, you've never met this Emily, have you?
No, I haven't. First time.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
So yeah, you'll be excited. I met Emily. Her handle on Instagram is, and I believe it's her website address as well, is Emily and Her Stars. She has a podcast as well, so we'll plug all that next week when she's with us. But she is a medium as well, and she's also an astrologer. So I'm really
somebody that knows what they're talking about.
Somebody that knows, yeah. So I'm really excited to have her on and to chat with her. She is a Taurus sun, so another Earth. Yeah. Another
Earth. All right. I'm excited. I'm excited.
And we will share Emily, her and I will share like the weird synchronicities of the universe that has connected us, because it's been kind of like, you can't make it, like somebody would think that we were like making it up. It's so strange how the universe has tried to connect us. So I'm excited. So she will be on next week with us.
Yes.
Do we want to plug our other cool?
I was just gonna ask, do we want to? I think we should.
Go ahead.
We are going to be doing wait, I was going to say Instagram. It's not Instagram. We're going to be doing a live podcast.
Mm-hmm.
A live episode. So y'all are welcome to come in. We are not going to be doing any like personal readings, but you are welcome to come in with your questions and join in on the conversation with Amy and I.
Yeah, we'd love if you have any Q&As for us about anything spiritual. So maybe it's a mediumship question, or like, how does this happen, or what do you think about this, or maybe it's anything psychic, tarot, anything goes, other than like readings. But it's a fun way for some interaction.
That is happening. I'm going to have the date on August 30th.
August 30th.
That's my brother's birthday.
Evening. Yeah, in the evening. We'll put out all those dates up very soon on both of our social media accounts. Mm-hmm. If you don't already follow, you can find me at the Intuitive Rising and Erin at Soulwork.
Soulwork. Yes. WRK.
Yeah. So you will see all that there, and we hope to see you. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, and tune in each week as we dish on all things spiritual.
Don't forget to like, comment on what you would like to hear us talk about next, and subscribe.